Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an internet.
Today marked a significant moment in the ongoing case of YNW Melly as the news broke that his ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, had been released from the Paul Reed detention facility on Saturday, February 8th. Her release came after a judge approved it during an emergency hearing on Friday. This was a major development as it was the first time Melly and Mariah had seen each other in person since he turned himself into the Broward Sheriff's Office in February 2019. The courtroom buzzed with attention as YNW Melly made his entrance to meet Mariah face-to-face for the first time in over 6 years. During the brief reunion, sources within the courtroom observed Melly's demeanor. They mentioned that he was smiling broadly, but he also seemed to avoid making too much eye contact. There was also a moment when Melly reportedly shed a few tears, a sign that he was emotionally affected by seeing Mariah after such a long time apart. However, this emotional display could be seen as a negative sign for him in the context of his legal situation, as it suggests a level of vulnerability that could be used against him in court. For Mariah Hamilton, her release from detention marked the end of a difficult chapter. After her release, she expressed gratitude towards her supporters through a heartfelt message on Facebook. In a post shared on Sunday, she thanked her village, the people who had stood by her during her time behind bars. She wrote, "In my village. Thank you, my village. I love you all very much. God's plan, not mine." It was clear that she felt deep appreciation for the love and support she had received throughout her incarceration. However, Mariah wasn't too happy with how the media had reported on her release. She seemed frustrated by the way the press covered her situation and made sure to clarify that she didn't agree with how it was being portrayed. Despite this, she took to social media to express her joy and to remind everyone.
There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
Saying like to me.
One that she was thankful for the ongoing support from those who had been there for her during a challenging time. The moment between Melly and Mariah in the courtroom was not only significant for their personal connection but also for the impact it might have on the public's perception of the case. It was a rare, emotional encounter that likely affected both of them deeply. Their reunion had been a long time coming, and emotions ran high in the courtroom, with many noticing the significance of the moment. In the larger picture of YNW Melly's legal battle, today's events serve as a reminder of the personal stakes involved in this case. As Melly faces charges in the shooting deaths of two of his friends, the emotional weight of his past relationships and experiences could play a role in how the trial unfolds. While today's events brought some emotional relief for Mariah, they also highlighted the intense pressure Melly faces, both in court and in the public eye. As the case continues to develop, it's clear that personal moments like these are intertwined with the legal proceedings, making it a complex situation for everyone involved. Mariah's release and the emotional reunion with Melly will surely be remembered as a pivotal moment in the case, not just for the two individuals, but for the way it shapes the narrative around the trial as well. Ultimately, today's events were a reminder of the human side of the legal drama that has unfolded over the past 6 years. Emotions, relationships, and personal history are all factors that shape the outcome of such high-profile cases. Whether this moment will have any lasting effect on the trial remains to be seen, but it's clear that it has made a significant impact on the individuals involved. For now, Mariah is free, and Melly continues to face the legal challenges that will determine his future. According to court records, Hamilton was required to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023 after arriving on an international trip, demonstrating her awareness of what life is like in prison. The authorities already know what happened to Sasser in juvie, so Mariah doesn't want to return. However, in order to persuade the jury, they just need Mariah to attest to it at the next trials, and the agreement was that she, Judge Chaser, and juvie filed 6 new charges against Demons and 2 other alleged participants, including tampering with a witness directing the activities of a criminal solicitation or conspiracy, forcing Melly to not testify in court because they discovered suspicious activity and
let me repeat myself. Mr. Demons has to make an informed decision about who he wants his lawyers to be. He's now been sitting in our jail for 2,159 days. So,
iCloud account. This is known as witness tampering, and it carries a life sentence in reason. Melly consented to testify against Melly and acknowledged that the feds were exposing their findings. To commit tampering and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. If found guilty, a couple of those charges carry a life sentence in prison. The feds started looking into Mariah's conversations with people in Melly's hometown because there were a lot of rumors and conversations about her involvement, and they were able to gather all the information. However, YWJV's father also conducted his own investigation with them because he knows a lot of other people in the area, and he discovered some very solid evidence, including the code words Melly used to prevent Mariah from testifying against him during the trial. In the ongoing legal case against YNW Melly, extreme tactics have been used to prevent people from testifying in his defense. For example, witnesses like Mariah Hamilton and her mother were reportedly discouraged from speaking out. There were attempts to intimidate them by spreading cold and threatening messages. These messages included strong statements, such as one claiming that Melly would face life in prison solely for charges of witness tampering. Such actions have only added to the growing tension surrounding the case and the legal battle. The situation escalated further during one of Melly's court hearings, where his emotional state became a focal point. When he entered the courtroom, he looked visibly upset, walking in with an angry expression and not even bothering to groom himself with a haircut. However, his mood seemed to shift quickly when the judge began discussing his possible release from jail. This unexpected shift in tone made it clear that Melly's—
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to—
Emotions were running high during this stressful time, and his mental state was being impacted by the long wait in prison. A particularly important moment in this hearing was when the judge addressed the issue of Melly's legal representation. The judge reminded everyone that it was crucial for Melly to carefully choose his attorneys for the trial. It had been a staggering 2,159 days that Melly had been sitting in jail without a conviction, and the judge questioned how much longer this situation could continue. The judge made it clear that Melly needed to make a decision soon about who would represent him in court. The pressing question was how much longer Melly would have to endure being locked up without having faced trial or made any progress in his case. As the hearing continued, the judge became more impatient with the situation. He made a strong statement, telling the prosecutors that they had until the following day to present a valid reason why Melly should not be released on bond. The judge demanded that they show evidence justifying why Melly should remain in jail. The prosecutors then presented evidence of Melly's involvement in witness tampering, which helped explain the harsh treatment he had been receiving while in custody. One of the key pieces of evidence came from an interview with Melly's mother, who revealed some troubling details about her son's time in jail. She claimed that Melly had been denied basic privileges, such as the ability to use a phone. This restriction had made it difficult for him to communicate with his lawyers, loved ones, or anyone who could help with his defense. The claim raised concerns about how Melly was being treated behind bars and the possibility that these conditions could be influencing the case and his emotional well-being. Witness tampering has been a significant part of the case, and it seems to have been a major factor in why Melly has been kept in jail for so long. The prosecution has used this accusation as a reason to keep him behind bars, arguing that his actions could undermine the legal process. However, the defense argues that the length of time Melly has spent in jail without being convicted is unjust. The judge, for his part, seemed frustrated by the prolonged detention and the lack of resolution, pushing the prosecutors to justify their actions or face the possibility of Melly being released. This ongoing legal drama has been a roller coaster for everyone involved. For Melly, it's been a difficult and emotionally taxing experience, with his mood shifting in response to the pressures he's facing. For his family, especially his mother, the situation is equally hard, as they continue to deal with the emotional strain of seeing him in jail for so long. The delays, legal battles, and accusations of witness tampering have made this case even more complex and controversial. As the trial progresses, the pressure continues to mount. Melly's emotional state and the harsh conditions he's been subjected to in jail may play a significant role in how the public views the case. His legal team is working hard to secure his release, while the prosecution continues to argue that his actions deserve severe punishment. It remains to be seen how the court will—
life. As a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated.
ultimately decide on his fate, but for now, Melly's future is uncertain, and the legal battle rages on. Or look at his own mail inside a jail. My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone, they have a right to just to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him, as this ended up creating a massive lawsuit trying to get YNW Melly released, but they would end up sharing the witness tampering evidence, as that's the reason Melly's not allowed to use a phone inside a jail, as he was using the jail phones to commit serious crimes. Due to this, Jamie King revealed in the interview that she is really devastated for her kid since he isn't receiving any care at all. Since they are creating their own regulations, we have attempted to take this matter to court, but the judge really lacks authority in this regard. To the jail, since we actually had a hearing regarding his mistreatment, and the jail sort of makes their own rules, which I don't think is fair because I know they have to answer to someone too. However, things get worse because at the same time, the feds raided YW Bortlen's home and discovered more evidence hidden inside a suitcase where YW Bortlen wrote down on a piece of paper the names of all the jurors in Melly's initial trial, along with a description of what they, as previously announced, these are pictures of purported notes found during the demolition of YNW Bortlen's house. Melly's co-defendant, YNW Portland, was arrested on Monday night in a Miami jail and is currently being held on an out-of-count warrant for witness tampering. We have verified that the warrant was obtained by Long Crime Network and states that on or around April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Corland Henry, also known as Bortlen. The warrant is still pending since the accused witness was called by the legal system to the jury trial of Jamal Demons after others intentionally and illegally engaged in deceptive behavior against another individual with the goal of causing or influencing them to conceal evidence. Also known as YNW Melly, the warrant states that Portland reportedly interfered with a witness on July 22, which is very prohibited, and that jury selection for Melly began in mid-April. On the same day, a judge declared a mistrial. That Bortlen wasn't going to go out and exact revenge if these jurors had given YNW Melly a life sentence in prison during the initial trial, as even DJ Academic stated. However, to be honest, this is sloppy Bortlen. How are you going to have the juror's notebook in your home? Holy *T, it's like doing and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something similar. You understand what I mean, bro. They will do all in their power to keep YW Melly incarcerated for more than 2,159 days when they want you. I knew they wanted them badly when they waited for that statute to pass. Yes, he was incarcerated for what, 2? Yes, they could have been to the trial for 3 years. You're right, they waited until the law was passed and took him to trial a few months later. I don't understand why he didn't receive a bond following a trial and missed. This is where the entire rap industry and social media would go crazy, with even Charleston White jumping in to share that this is what YW Melly should be living like inside a jail, without any special treatment because he's a well-known rapper. If you agree, leave a comment. Like in the video, even the YNW Melly says, "I'm so happy that he's in jail getting mistreated." Dude, when you take a life, you don't have the right to complain about a mothering thing about being mistreated when you've chosen to play somebody, but in order to increase Melly's chances of being released, his own lawyers would use this evidence from the initial trial as counter-evidence, revealing that Melly texted his ex-girlfriend. When the crime was being investigated, Mariah was seen fleeing from the men on the street with GPS evidence following them into a bush. I said that someone had just driven up and was attempting to shoot him, so I asked him if he was okay and where he was. He said, "There's a car coming him like hiding."
Bortlen
can't make tests for fashion because I'm not sure what was used, but regrettably, this would be nearly enough to get Melly out of jail because the retrial took more than a year to start. The prosecutors kept looking into Melly and eventually created a new file of evidence as insurance to make sure he never received a bond, and it worked. They would disclose in court that Melly was very close to the late King Val, which led to his arrest, and that he was a Rob Gold Block member before V tragically passed away. Revealed a secret Melly told King Val while she was asking him for advice on how to deal with a situation where your two best friends are pursuing you for money. Did V really tell you that Melly told him that he was two friends? He didn't come out and say, "We got into an argument," because you know when people can say something without saying it. He then told me, once I posted what I posted, he was mad at me, bro. Why you put there, bro, the B? They said that his two friends were trying to extort him. So I'm like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but are you going to trust that? YNW is not just a street team. It's a registered business LLC where Melly and Bortlen performed local concerts, sold merchandise, and promoted businesses in exchange for money that would be transferred through the YW bank account and distributed to the 4 members of Sack Chaser, Juvie, Melly, and Morland. Divide 25% of each bag. If you know anything about how King Varf handled his own situations, you can probably guess the advice that V would have given YW Melly. Now, when you combine this evidence with everything found on Melly's phone, this is where things get really bad because he sent a text message hours after the crime, literally admitting to it, asking the P. Gambino account if he was okay and his feelings. Melly and Bortlen didn't like this too much. I did that and added a smiley face emoji. The next message from you at 16:02 Eastern Standard Time on 10/26/2018 said, "What next?" The YNW count replied, "What next?" Additionally, on Melly's phone, there was a saved video from someone's Facebook Live that showed Melly and Bortlen's reaction to the crime just 6 hours after it was committed, dapping each other up in a parking lot. Applause. After this early morning, Melly still turned away, and his still out ch being really positive transformed into a still. However, knowing how Melly handled the loss of their two best friends emotionally, the lead prosecutor wanted to delve deeply into the physical evidence of the crime, including the Jeep they were driving in. During the initial trial, Sergeant Williams stated that there was no way this could have been a drive-by and that the person who committed the crime had to have been sitting in the back left seat. How many? When all but one of these rounds are moving in the one round that, well, has some movement in it, which is round sight L here, they are actually moving in that, with Williams revealing the crime must have occurred inside the vehicle. 3 rounds were inside the car from the past the driver's side back seat. As to that Christopher Thomas, where did that driver's side back seat? This is when Yuve's mother went to the stand sharing who was. His mother was seated in the back left seat. And who was that Christopher Thomas? Oh, Miss Phillips? Did you notice who got into that grotty Jeep? Did you recognize the person who got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side? If so, who was that person?